A Russian tank burns outside Avdiivka. Via social media, Russia has lost at least 68 armored vehicles, including 8 tanks, in Ukraine in the last 4 days. Even by the apocalyptic standards of Russia's 21-month-long war against Ukraine, this is a staggering blow. Ukraine's losses during the same period are reportedly 1/10 of Russia's. And these 68 destroyed and abandoned Russian vehicles are just some of the vehicles that open source intelligence analyst Andrew Perpetua confirmed with photos and videos on social media. Russia's actual losses are almost certainly much higher. Ukraine's general staff claimed that its forces destroyed a shocking 175 Russian armored vehicles, including 55 tanks, between Thursday and Friday. On average, the Russians have been losing just 3 tanks per day since February 2022. The final loss rate is almost 20 times higher. Moscow also reportedly cancelled at least 5 fighter jets over Avdiivka. Manpower losses are proportional to vehicle losses. The General Staff Kiev claimed that 1,380 Russians in Ukraine the 24-hour period ending Friday. This would be one of the largest single-day losses on either side of the wider war. It is clear what increased Russia's losses. For several weeks, 7 or 8 Russian regiments and brigades, each numbering close to 2,000 soldiers, have been trying and failing to encircle Avdiivka, one of the best defended cities in free Ukraine. In the Donbas region of eastern Ukraine, northwest of Russian-occupied Donetsk, every day the Russians appear in long columns of tanks and combat vehicles. Every day they cross mines, enter missile destruction zones, come under artillery fire and fall prey to explosives-laden unmanned aerial vehicles. But they keep coming. It is unclear why the Russians were willing to expend so many men vehicles to surround, cut off, ultimately defeat the Avdiivka garrison, which included at least 2 brigades regiments its associated battalions. It is possible that Russian commanders hope to draw Ukrainian brigades into a costly war to prevent them from reinforcing Ukraine's southern counteroffensive, which began in June and saw Ukrainian troops advance at least 10 miles on each of 2 major axes. One in the north, Russian-occupied Melitopol, the other further east, along the Mokry-Yaly River Valley. If the Avdiivka attack was truly a remedial effort, it probably failed. Ukrainian officials have already identified Avdiivka raid as a Russian fixation operation, and they are unlikely to unnecessarily commit Ukrainian manpower to this axis. The Institute for Study of War in Washington, D.C., said, maybe the attack isn't an attempt at correction. Perhaps the Kremlin may be desperate for a late-season win as the weather turns colder and rainier, and big offensive opportunities diminish. Which makes sense in a ridiculous way. Ultimately, the ISW explained, the hypothetical capture Avdiivka will not open new avenues of advance to the rest Donetsk Oblast BU.